For full details, including terms and conditions, visit unlock.com/legal. Call 1-888-780-6854 to speak with a representative today. Actor Portrayal. Terms and conditions apply.
Lisa, thanks for having me over. Your new kitchen is gorgeous. How'd you find the money to do it?
We worked with this great company, Unlock. They help you unlock the future value of your home to get the cash you need today.
So it's a home equity loan?
No, it's not a loan at all. There's no monthly payments and no interest charges ever. And you can use the money however you want. We were able to redo our kitchen and pay off our credit card debt.
Wow, Jack and I could really use this to finally pay off our old student loan debt. How do I get started?
It's easy. Just give him a call or go to unlock.com.
Call 1-888-780-6854 to unlock the value in your home and get up to $500,000 in cash with no monthly payments and no interest ever. Use the money for home improvements, to pay off debt, or to add to your retirement fund. It's up to you. Visit unlock.com. That's unlock.com or call 1-888-780-6854 now to get started.
Welcome to the Trip Tales podcast with me, Kelsey Graves. Let's jump into a new episode exploring a vacation destination that you'll want all the details about. Hey everyone, welcome back to Trip Tales, the podcast where real people share their real trip stories, giving you destination inspiration and practical planning tips. Today, the real people sharing their real trip is going to be yours truly, and making his Trip Tales podcast debut, my husband, Joe. But before we dive into all the details of our Cabo trip, I have to thank my most recent buymeacoffee.com supporter, Pooja. Pooja bought me 5 coffees and wrote, I discovered your podcast when I was looking for more information on Alani. Now I'm hooked. I love hearing about real life trips, especially those who travel with bigger families. We are a family of 5. I like to use points and miles to offset travel costs, so I like that you feature different types of travel styles. Thank you. Wow. Thank you so much for generously buying me 5 coffees on my support page, which quite literally buys me coffee to keep me caffeinated while I'm recording and editing these podcast episodes, and honestly helps my family with the grocery bill. As always, you can find my buymeacoffee.com support page in the show notes, or if you have a good memory, it's simply buymeacoffee.com/Kelsey Graves. Okay, here we go. Today I have my husband, Joe Graves, on the pod. It only took 70 episodes before he was invited to join, but today's the day. Welcome, babe.
Thanks, babe. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
I start every episode with a rapid fire get to know you, and I know a lot of regular listeners probably already know quite a bit about you, but in case we have a first-time listener today, why don't you tell everyone where we live, what you do, and about our family?
Awesome. Yeah, so we live in Franklin, Tennessee. I run a couple of dog daycare, boarding, and grooming facilities here in Nashville. And we have 3 kids, Kate, who is 13, Parker, who is 10, and Elle, who is 7.
Joe is so sweet and supportive and has listened to almost every episode of Trip Tales. It's funny, whenever he turns his car on, the kids are like, "You're listening to Trip Tales again?" from like driving around commuting for work, which I think is just so sweet. But sometimes he jokes with me that I'm a little loose with my words and storytelling. So is there anything you'd like to clear up or clear the air on regarding anything I've shared about you up until this point?
I don't think there's a lot, but I will say I am pretty frugal. So I love traveling, and I've come to really appreciate the credit card points game that you've gotten us into. Because it allows us to travel really like budget friendly, and also you being super supportive of the little budgets that I put together for our travels, so that we're on the same page of how much we're going to spend on these trips. Because I
don't think we can call them little budgets. I don't know if any of you guys have super financial planner spouses, but these budgets aren't little. They are very, very complex.
I live my life in Excel spreadsheets, and these are pretty simple spreadsheets for the record.
Let's stick with credit cards points for just a second, because The travel component of this is a little new to us. We've always had credit cards. We've always had good credit. We've always paid off our credit cards. Actually, when Joe first met me, I did have a teensy weensy bit of credit card debt. And he was like, we will not get married until this is paid off. And I was like, oh, okay.
I don't know if I said it exactly like that. I think it was more of an encouragement of like, let's pay this off.
Okay. So he got me in check, which my parents were thankful for. But ever since we've been married, we've had credit cards. We did a lot of cash back with Chase for the most part. And we did do Southwest credit cards, attempting to earn companion passes. We would here and there, but we really didn't have a strategy around it. And I will say, when we first got started over the last year or two, trying to maximize points for travel, I feel like, and to correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like you were a little hesitant to kind of like, you were like, what are we doing? Because I'd listened to like all these podcasts. I had a lot in my brain, but I'm also not super analytical and don't have the best numbers brain. So I hear it and I figure it out. And then I'm just kind of like, let's do it. But I don't exactly know the plan or keep spreadsheets well. So I feel like at first you were a little hesitant to like open more cards.
Yeah, definitely hesitant to open more cards because we were really running our budget off of like a declining balance based on checking accounts.
Yes.
This is probably way too detailed for the Trip Tales podcast. But I will say there is a company out there called YNAB, which stands for You Need a Budget. And it allows you to, connect all of your credit cards, all of your checking savings accounts, even investment accounts, and it puts it all into one platform for you. And then you can build your budget out of that. So it's less relevant about what card you're spending the money on, as long as you're categorizing the transactions like appropriately into each person's budget. That really made a difference for us kind of in the last 12 to 18 months to be able to use, many different payment methods, but still keep track of our budget and budget for trips and one-time expenses and everything very accurately. So, no free shout out to YNAB.
Yes.
They have created the best like personal budgeting software I've ever seen, and I've been using spreadsheets for 20 plus years doing budgets. So.
Yes, shout out to YNAB. For real, Joe has used all the different apps that have been out there. He creates his own budgets, or used to create his own very detailed budgets in Excel. And for anyone who is like a budgeting or numbers nerd, this would be your app. For me, it overwhelms me. It is like way too much detail. However, I tend to overspend because I don't look at numbers and I don't keep track of things. So for this, it's been helpful because I pay off my credit cards weekly if possible, just to stay on top of like where I'm at. But Joe, typically about once a month, would you say you dive into YNAB?
Twice a month. Yeah.
Once or twice a month on like a Saturday or Sunday, he'll sit down and categorize everything. And he'll even be like, hey, what was this, $250 Amazon spend? Because it might be birthday gifts for a child, which is a different category than just like family spending, which would just be like clothes and household items and stuff. So anyways, we're like off on a tangent now, but YNAB is great for that. And that has allowed us to kind of switch credit cards around to chase those bonus offers, which gets us closer to, companion passes or earning those big chunks of points that help us travel. Okay. So moving on, we just returned home from one of our couples trips. And when Joe and I first met, pre-kids, we both loved to travel and we were super passionate about traveling. And we actually made a conscious decision when we got married as babies. We were 24 and 25 to not have kids for 5 years so that we could work, spend time with each other, and travel. Looking back, I think that was a very wise decision. And I'm going to encourage our kids to do the same. Everybody can live their lives the way they want to. But in that time, we went to Brazil together and we explored Rio. We went up to, what's the old capital? Salvador, which was a really cool spot. We went to Hawaii together and took surfing lessons and ate delicious dinners on Maui. Is there anything else I'm forgetting? We went skiing at Lake Tahoe.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's more, but we just really wanted to spend time traveling. And then we had kids, and everybody knows that that changes travel quite a bit. We did not stop traveling. We have probably more stories than the average person of a baby screaming on a plane, crushing anything we gave it. Like, here's a styrofoam cup to play with, crushed. So that does give us a lot of empathy now when we're on planes and someone has a crying baby. We just look at each other and smile. It doesn't annoy us in any way. I always feel for the person. I just think, just hold that baby and let it cry, and don't even work hard and sweat to try to stop it, because sometimes you just can't. On our last flight, we had a baby that was crying so much I thought about getting up and offering to go hold it, but I didn't want to be creepy. Not because I would be able to calm it down, but just because I knew the parents had been holding a crying baby for like an hour, and that is just no fun. But I will say, when we had kids, travel changed a bit. There were a lot of beach trips, a lot of trips to somewhere with a pool, a lot of trips with family or to family, because that's just the easiest thing to do when you have littles. And recently it started changing where we're doing more adventurous stuff with our kids, which is so fun. We're loving traveling with big kids. But the point I'm trying to make is we've always tried to prioritize couples travel, even though it's really hard. And we get that, like getting out of town and tying up all the loose ends with work, with kid stuff, scheduling, childcare is a whole thing. But the second we drive away, even in the car to the airport, it's like you can exhale. And there is a teensy bit of anxiety that comes with it, you know, being away from your kids, traveling together, you know, what if something happened to us? But it's always worth it. And sometimes when they were really little, we would drive places. We would drive to 2 nights in a downtown hotel, or when we were living in Boston, we drove to Montreal, which was a lovely getaway. I think we first wanted to be ambitious and try to get away like twice a year or more. That was kind of a goal at the beginning. And I think realistically, now that we've got big kids, busy lives, it's becoming more like once a year. Summer seems to work well because the kids are, you know, not as busy and can kind of just chill around the house or maybe do one camp while someone's watching them. But I always feel like it's such a breath of fresh air, such a great time to connect. And honestly, we really don't even like take that breath and relax and have that first like intentional conversation until we're all the way there and we're like removed from everything. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. Like, it's important to do. I think it's worth prioritizing, even though it is a lot of work to even get away for 3 or 4 days. I just think back on like the Montreal trip when we had 2 little kids, and it was like we almost felt like it was impossible. It was like my parents had to fly in from Nashville to Boston.
I think a kid threw up the night before as we were trying to leave.
No, as we were like leaving, I think one of the kids, threw up all over the kitchen floor.
Kind to be like, leave, but it's
And so you just think back like St. Lucia, this trip, like it seems so difficult, almost impossible to like plan it and get away, but it's such great memory. It's like clear, like connection memories that we have. And I think it just really rejuvenates like your relationship and like helps you get back into, the daily grind when you do get back to normal life. And I do think summers now are our best time to do it, because with our kids all in like travel, sports and dance and everything, we're traveling as much for that during the school year on top of just school and then any family travel we want to do. So I really do think like it's starting to work out for us of like this middle of summer when we have these 8 weeks of summer for our kids being out of school to like get in, 3 or 4 days. And yeah, I would highly encourage everybody to do it.
Yeah, the reconnection is lovely. Even though I'm not going to like just toot our own horn and pat ourselves on the back too much, but I would say we have a pretty healthy marriage and a happy marriage, at least from my perspective.
Ditto.
But it's still, life is so busy and chaotic that it's hard. Sometimes we say on a hamster wheel, and it's hard to jump off. And I find that on these trips, as much as we would like to set goals and plan and talk about what's important to us in the next 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, it doesn't happen as much as it should, but on these trips, we finally have time to sit down and go, what is a goal for the family or for our finances or whatever in the next 1, 2, 5 years? And we were able to sit down and have some of those conversations, which was kind of fun to get on the same page.
So we have turned this travel podcast into a marriage podcast.
Yes.
Do we want to get to Cabo?
Maybe we should start our own marriage podcast. Okay. Moving on to Cabo. So I was saying all that to say, my first question was going to be about why we booked this trip. So we booked this trip because it's our once a year getaway. Another thing is I had eyeballed this hotel that we went to for a very long time. We went to the Cape, a Thompson Hotel in Cabo. I first saw it on the Points guy's Instagram. Most of you probably know who he is and follows him. He's like the OG Points content creator and blogger and has written books, and he's amazing. And he posted about it on his Instagram, and I thought, that hotel looks amazing. I earmarked it. I thought about it for years. It seemed kind of like a bucket list hotel for me. Also, Joe and I have been to Cancun together for our honeymoon. I recently went for my 40th. I really wanted to try another area of Mexico because so many people had told me, you've got to try Cabo. You're going to love it. You've got to try it. So it kind of fell together because we had credit card points to spend. I wanted to try this hotel, the Cape, which is a Hyatt, which, as we've told you a billion times, transferring Chase points to Hyatt is the sweetest spot for credit card rewards in the travel area. And we needed our summer getaway. So that's kind of how it came together. I want to talk quickly about how we booked this trip. So I encouraged Joe to open a Chase Inc. business credit card. I had one, and he's now my player too, or vice versa. So I can refer him, which gives me 10K points, I believe, maybe more, sometimes maybe 20K, for him to get approved and then spend on that credit card. Now, business credit cards, you don't have to be operating like a full-blown business at home. Almost anything, even if you're like selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace, you can open a business credit card. So I referred him. At the time, we can't remember if it was 100K or 120K, but they were running like a really great introductory offer. So he quickly, because he runs companies and stuff as well, was able to meet the minimum spend. And we had about 100 or 120K Chase Ultimate Rewards points to spend. And that's exactly how much our hotel cost. So what you do is you open your Chase account, you open your Hyatt account, you transfer out your points. So we transferred 100K points out of Chase into his Hyatt account that matches his name and his bank card and everything. And then we booked our hotel. And with Hyatt, it covers resort fees. It covers taxes. It is like, thank you for booking. That will be $0. So it's the craziest feeling to like book a hotel that you've been wanting to go to forever and be like, I know your points go away, but like, okay, now we've booked that for $0.
Yeah, and I think when we looked at it last night for like a month from now to book the room we had, which was just a king room with an ocean view, it was just like the room price alone, I think was $530 a night before taxes, resort fees, anything. So probably all in, that's like for 3 nights, which is what we went for, would probably be $1,700 to $1,800 would be my guess. And it was 100,000 points, which you could think of as like $1,000 under most point systems. So not only do you get the like welcome bonus points that are a huge chunk that covered the whole thing, but you also get this extra boost with Hyatt of like the points are worth more on a dollar for dollar basis when you transfer them to Hyatt. So it's just an incredible deal.
Yeah. I'm going to put the Chase, my referral link in the show notes again, if you're still thinking about this. Where I would start, if you've never done it, is the Chase Sapphire Preferred. That is a regular personal credit card. That's a great place to start. And you can stay at, regular Hyatts all over the country for 10,000 points a night, 15,000 points a night. I'll also put the referral link for the business card, which gets you more points, but you do have to spend more. Anyhow, I'll put those in the show notes. It's a great place to get started. It was funny the other day, I was at my daughter's dance studio and someone was asking me about the trip. And I'm like, it's so crazy. We like booked this hotel for free. And she goes, well, not for free. And I said, well, yeah, for free. And she goes, well, you had to spend money to book it. And I was like, yeah, but it's money we have to spend anyways. We're not like overspending on our cards. We're swiping it at the orthodontist. We just had to have my air conditioning in my car fixed. It's so annoying to have to fix a car for $1,500 when you're not planning on it, but it makes it a little sweeter when you're working on credit card bonuses. And it's like, well, that sucks, but I had to do this anyways. And now I'm getting closer to a sign up bonus or just earning points on a credit card. So it's like, to me, it kind of is free because this is money we have to spend anyways. And we're getting the return of these hotels.
Just grabbing my charger. Heading to Sam's for dinner.
Okay, but you'll miss your favorite tenderloin.
Wait, is that the Tuscan herb?
Mm-hmm. Hatfield marinated Tuscan herb. That's a real shame.
Did I say I was going to Sam's? Sam's coming here. Keep up, Dad.
When better care leads to better pork, it's irresistible. Hatfield Pork. Better care, better pork.
Do people want to hear about our trip?
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about the other two things we booked in advance quickly. We booked our transfer in advance. We used Sunny Desert Transfer. I had asked on my Instagram who we should use as a transfer company in Cabo. I got a lot of great responses. Probably one of the more popular transfers is LOMAS, LOMAS. I've also used them in Cancun. Big company, fabulous. I think that is a great place to look at transfers. But when I priced everything out, Sunny Desert was a little bit cheaper and it came highly recommended by a friend. Sunny Desert is a small operation. It's probably 4 drivers. They've got a van or two, a Chevy, like Suburban, and maybe one other car. They were the kindest people in the world, trustworthy, kind. I would just say like they're running around picking people up. So at first when we got there, and it's really chaotic at the Cabo airport, just like Cancun, you're like looking for your name on the signs and we didn't see it. So then I'm like trying to call them through WhatsApp and I finally got connected to them and they're like, he'll be there in 10 minutes. So, you know, when you go with a bigger company with a ton of drivers, someone's going to be standing there with your name on a sign. When you go with a smaller company, you may have lovely service, might be a little cheaper, but, you know, it might not go exactly as smoothly as the big companies. But Victor was one of our drivers. He was so fabulous. They offered us beers. He stopped for us on the way in, which we'll get into now, but highly recommend Sunny Desert or looking into them. Let's talk about how we got there. So we flew Southwest. We had to fly through Houston, but luckily for us, travel was completely a breeze. The flights were fine. And we also used upgraded boarding, which was super fun on we both now have the Southwest business credit card, business performance. It's a black credit card. It's great for starting to earn towards a companion pass because it gives you a bunch of points towards that companion pass. And one of the perks, which something I'll recommend from my spreadsheets, even though mine are not as pretty as Joe's, I have a spreadsheet going, one tab is Kelsey, one tab is Joe, and it has all our current credit cards, anything that we've recently closed, and anything we're considering opening. And I list in that spreadsheet some of the best benefits these credit cards offer because it's easy to forget. So the Southwest Performance Business credit card offers 4 upgraded boardings a year. It repeats each year. And what that means is once you can't use it until you're like 24 hours out from your flight. So you check in, you get B60 or whatever. Well, since this was a fun trip for us, I wanted us to be able to sit together and to board early. And, Southwest, nothing is like first class about this. But if you can get A1 through 15, it feels as close to first class as you can get on a Southwest flight. So we used those upgrades. And for the first flight, it was $45. Unfortunately, it doesn't like upgrade you for the whole round trip flight. It's just each leg. So to Houston, it was like $45, and then to Houston to Cabo, it was $130 to get that upgraded boarding, but that will get recredited back to our Southwest statement. So anyways, we used those and it automatically upgraded us to like A5 and 6, which is fun. I don't often board A1 through 15 because we're almost always doing family boarding. And to be in those first like 5 rows, The best part about it is getting off that plane. Like, I'm so used to being stuck in the back of a Southwest plane for an extra like 20 minutes. And to just like, I was like, oh, they actually opened the door kind of quickly. I never realized that because I'm never up here to see it. But getting off, especially when you're like going on vacation, trying to get through like immigration, that was great to get off the plane quickly.
The other major benefit of the Southwest business cards is you get free Wi-Fi. Each leg you have to pay $8, for Wi-Fi, and you get credited back like immediately, and it's unlimited for the year. So for someone who's working on these long flights, it just makes it really productive and free to use the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that is a great one. And we've used it on multiple devices. Like I've used it on a computer and a phone, or my phone and my daughter's phone, and they all get refunded. So you just get $8 statement credits back every time you buy Wi-Fi. So we get off the plane, travel goes smoothly. In Houston, we did have like a 2-hour, 1.5-hour layover, and we almost rushed to the next flight to see if we could get on it. But then our transfer would be messed up. So we were like, let's just chill at the Houston airport. That started our breakfast burrito journey.
Yeah.
I love a breakfast taco or a breakfast burrito or any sort of Mexican breakfast. So, and Houston in Texas has a lot of good like breakfast taco situations. So we sat down at a restaurant and had our first breakfast burrito, which started a trend on the trip. So that was lovely and enjoyable. And we had a couple calls we were trying to field with stuff back at home and kids' doctors and work stuff. So it was actually kind of nice to just sit there and get caught up. So then we got to Cabo. I will say that the Cabo airport was more organized and nicer than the Cancun airport. When I got into Cancun, it was just like a mass of 2,000 people with no rhyme or reason of where you were going or what line you were in. It felt so chaotic to me. Cabo has like tons of people working, lots of lines. It's a flow. I felt like it was very easy to get in and out of, and very like buttoned up and professional. So that was nice.
I would highly recommend booking the transfer ahead of time, because there are also hundreds of people that are trying to solicit you for rides, and it's just hard to know like who's legit. So I would take Kelsey's advice on this and book your transfer, know who you're going to be going with to your hotel, so that you can get out there and find that person, which is not easy to do because there are hundreds, if not thousands of people outside of the airport, all looking for their rides and drivers looking for passengers. And so it's a little chaotic, but you can, minimize the chaos as much as possible by booking the transfer ahead of time.
Yeah. As my travel agent said, when I booked my 40th birthday trip to Cancun, she emailed the group of girls and she drew us a map through the Cancun airport. She was like, follow this red arrow. Do not look up. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Do not look anybody in the eye. Do not speak to anybody until you see the sunshine in the sky. And we were like, yes, ma'am. But that's how it is at Cabo too. There are just tons of people soliciting for taxi rides, excursions, and maybe there's a deal to be had there. I don't know. But any travel agent you talk to says just walk all the way past them. But then, like Joe said, still when you get outside, there's 100 more legit transfer companies holding up signs. And, the best thing to figure out is there are numbers 1 through 10 that the transfer companies stand under. I didn't know this. Sunny Desert was going to be at 10. Maybe I missed that somewhere. I'm known to sometimes breeze through emails and not read all the details. But find out what number your transfer company is going to be standing under, because that helps a ton. So we found our transfer. He was so kind. He loaded our luggage. Another thing we did ahead of time, which we're getting better at, we didn't used to be good at, but I now go by the bank before I leave the country or any sort of like kind of tropical hotel trip. And I get like $100 in fives. This time, I think I even got like $200 in fives. But so that we have lots of money to easily give someone a 5 for helping us here and there, because we do want to tip and we want to be kind and generous tippers, but it gets so stressful because we often don't have cash these days on us. So I just go through the bank and say, hey, can I have $200 in fives or $100? And that has been helping a lot. So Victor was lovely, chit-chatted with us. I would say the first impression of Cabo was, wow, this is nice. The roads are nice. The highways are nice. There is gorgeous landscaping and flowers and cactus, and the resorts are really well maintained. The homes are insane, built into the side of cliffs. You can see the ocean and the waves crashing on the rocks and the cliffs. Like everything about it felt nice, new. You know, when you go to Cancun, you drive down the main strip to get to like the hotel zone, and there are like military artillery vehicles. There are people with AK-47s. You're a little like, what is happening? I didn't feel that way as much. We did see some police officers with guns and stuff, but nothing compared to Cancun. I'm not trying to like dog on Cancun by any means. I'm actually going next month for a work thing. So, but I just have to say, we were like, we want to come back here. Immediately loved it.
I would say even when you land at the airport, you are surrounded by mountains. It's desert, but it reminds me of like flying into Salt Lake, where you fly into the airport and you immediately get out and you see mountains all around you. And then you're a short drive to see the ocean as well, and it's gorgeous.
Yeah, and one thing I'll explain is that because a lot of times when you're researching a Cabo trip, you realize there are two main areas that will come up in all your research: San Jose and Cabo San Lucas. So just to give you a super overview, when you leave the airport and you're kind of on the main highway toward all the hotels, you first go through San Jose. It is lovely, quiet, almost feels like a place you'd want to like retire. Gorgeous homes, gorgeous condo complexes, some gorgeous resorts. They have their own downtown area. We actually didn't get to see that, but our driver was telling us about it, with like an art walk on Thursday nights. And he was telling us, it's a quieter, calmer, relaxed area. I was like, I would love to go back and stay there. Joe feels like maybe when we're like 50 or 60, which we're actually not that far off from that, but he liked being closer to Cabo San Lucas. So you keep driving, then you're passing resorts and resorts the whole time. As you get closer to Cabo San Lucas, you're closer to some of the famous rock structures like El Arco. You're closer to the downtown Marina, which is kind of like the downtown hub of Cabo, with the famous bars like Cabo Wabo and some of the other ones. We actually didn't even make it to the office, which we wanted to, but so if you're going to go on an excursion or anything like that, you want to be closer to Cabo San Lucas and the Marina, because that is where a lot of those things leave out of. Now, we weren't really close to Cabo San Lucas. We were probably a 15 to 20 minute drive outside of Cabo San Lucas, or outside of the Marina. We did stay in Cabo San Lucas. Yeah. But once you get into Cabo San Lucas, then later the downtown, you do get a little bit of that, like, I don't want to say city, but that like grit, and that where it's not quite as manicured and perfect as the resorts, obviously. So there are some all-inclusives that are right near the Marina. I wouldn't want to stay there just because it's a little bit more chaotic and there's a lot going on down by the Marina. It's fun and feels safe, but I liked being a little ways out from that. So anyways, that's kind of the lay of the land. We asked our driver, hey, do you mind stopping at a grocery store? He said, yeah, no problem. He pulled up to one of the nicest grocery stores we've ever been to in our lives. Like, it's nicer than my Kroger that I shop at here in Franklin. It was humongous, clean, everything you could want. Pringles, Chex Mix, like every cereal we're used to. Now, we weren't buying all that because we didn't want to, we're here to like have some poolside sushi and stuff, but we wanted to get drinks because the drinks at the Cape are very expensive. We kind of started joking that everything was $30. A salad, $30. A sushi roll, $30. A glass of wine, $29. It's expensive. So and the grocery stores sell wine and liquor and beer. So we stopped, I think it was called Fresca. Was that it?
Yeah, something like that. Fresco or something.
Yeah, he knew where to stop. I said, how much more would this be? He goes, I'll contact the boss. No worries. We run in, we grab tequila, some Topo Chico, and a couple bottles of white wine. And we're out of there in 10 minutes. And he goes, oh, no charge. You guys were quick, which I thought was so nice. So we ended up tipping him 20 extra bucks for the stop. And then we were on our way. It was a little awkward going into the hotel with like our bag of bottles clinking, but they had reusable bags there that were easy to, and the hotel didn't even blink an eye. And that was really nice to be able to, we brought like Yeti cups to be able to like make a drink, walk around the resort, and not always have to be paying $30 if we wanted something. Let's talk about arriving to the hotel. So I thought this hotel was going to be nice. I'd seen it on Instagram. I've been following it for years. I know what it looks like on Instagram. We pull up, we walk onto the property, and I was blown away.
Yeah, I mean, you come down like a small walkway from where the cars drop you off, and it's an open air lobby. And I don't mean like it's not interior at all. It is exterior, high ceiling, and you are just looking directly out onto the Sea of Cortez. You can see the Marina and El Arco like in the distance. The waves are crashing where this Thompson Hotel is right in front of like probably the best surfing spot in Cabo San Lucas. So you look out and there's from sun up to sundown people surfing out there, and you just walk up to check in and you are like, we have arrived in paradise. It is amazing.
It is one of those hotels where you are like immediately on vacation, and it's like a showstopper. I did not think it was going to be this big of a showstopper. You know, I booked it on Hyatt points. I know it's nice, but I was amazed. I couldn't stop taking videos. You can go look at my videos on my Instagram. I'm just my name, Kelsey_Graves on Instagram. I've got a whole Cabo highlight bubble of our arrival. The people were so kind. We immediately were served a welcome drink. We checked in. I had emailed ahead of time and asked for an upgrade. You know, we all love to do that on this podcast. I went big and asked for like a suite upgrade. We were just in like a partial ocean view standard king room. They said there would be one available, but only for 2 nights. And then we would have to move. And also there would be an extra fee. So not really an upgrade, just like, and you know, if I really wanted the suite, I would have asked what the fee was going to be. But they said, but instead we can upgrade you to a full ocean view room, king room, and you can just stay in that room the whole 3 nights. And we were like, great, let's just do that. There really isn't a bad room at the resort. We realized all the guest rooms are on the ocean side. We kind of were looking quite a bit to try to see what a partial ocean view would be. I don't even think there really is one. I think it might be angled a bit, but every room, you can't go wrong with a room there. You don't even worry about an upgrade if you don't want to. So I'll back up. Our room wasn't ready. And so we just set up shop on 2 pool chairs. We had a couple of things we were trying to tie up at home, some calls. So we just kind of like worked and took care of a few things from the pool chairs. I was like, this is incredible. The waves are crashing. You can see El Arco in the distance. The surfers were there the whole time. It was so fun to watch. I could have sat there for hours. I was like, I guess we should go check if our room's ready, but we were completely content. The servers are checking on us. I think we finally did order a drink after like an hour and just had our drinks, caught up on some stuff. And then we actually went back up to be like, is our room ready? And they were like, oh yeah, it's ready. So then we went to go check out the room. So why don't you tell everyone what the room was like and what it's like when I am like, wait, I have to film.
Well, you're always like, wait, I have to film, which means I am the door holder, the door opener, but it ends up with great content.
You're doing very good at that.
Getting better at it,
Yeah.
Getting better at rotating around as the camera spins around to stay out of the frame. But yeah, the room is awesome. I mean, we were on the 2nd floor, but really the way the hotel is laid out, it's almost like the 4th floor because the first couple of floors are like restaurants and workout room and everything. So you're pretty high up. Like
don't be afraid if you get a 2nd floor room. You have a gorgeous view.
Yes.
Don't try to change it. It's an amazing view.
And the hotels are built up a little bit on these like small rocky cliffs. So you're pretty high up above like sea level. So perfectly clear view. Room is big. You come in and like a big bathroom with a huge shower, a rain shower and a regular shower in there. And then you walk into kind of the main space, which had like good seating, like 2 large lounge chairs, as well as the king bed. And then the showstopper is the balcony. I believe it's on I don't know, maybe the 1st and 2nd floors have extra large balconies, which allow you to have a huge swinging couch, like a daybed, out there, as well as like a table and chairs. I mean, just huge outdoor space. I don't know how many square feet, but it was big. And yeah, I mean, you come into the room, you look out the glass windows out past, your huge outdoor space, to the ocean, and you're just like, you're in paradise. Like it's amazing.
It's amazing. We were so impressed. It has the style that we've come to love, and I don't even know exactly what it's called, but it's almost like a elevated, modern, rustic office vibe. I don't even know. It's like leathers and
Metal.
yeah, high-end fixtures.
Industrial chic?
Industrial chic.
I don't know.
Yeah, you guys can look at the pictures, but the style is like right up our alley. We loved it.
This summer, chill out with Klostaller, the original game changer in non-alcoholic beer. Whether you're into crisp and classic, bold IPA vibes, or that fresh grapefruit twist, Klostaller's got a flavor to match your mood. And hey, want to ride with the pioneer of non-alcoholic beer in a new way? We're giving away a custom Klostaller beach bike. Just text BIKE to 833-426-1559 for your chance to win. Klostaller, natural brewing, refreshing living. No purchase necessary. U.S. residents 21 plus only. Restrictions apply.
So yeah, we got unpacked, and then I believe we went down to the pool for a couple hours and got situated with the infinity pool, which is amazing. I am like obsessed with an infinity pool. The one thing in Cabo is they always say the beaches aren't that swimmable. Joe did get in. I got in probably up to my knees or waist. The waves are just crashing, which is why it's a big surfing site. Some of the hotels have swimmable beaches, a few, but not all of them. But for us, we are completely fine with an infinity pool with a view of the ocean. That is like my dream. So the infinity pool is incredible. It was definitely like happening. While we were there, there were 2 50th birthday parties, lots of fun people in like matching, 50th birthday party hats. And I would say it's happening. There's great music going. There's a DJ, not annoying, but good music. It's not like a party scene. It's not like foam parties and the chaos of like some all-inclusives, but it's definitely people are having a good time. Lots of people in the infinity pool chit-chatting. That also has the swim-up bar right there. And it was just honestly, it was hot, but in a good way. We would like chill by the pool and then go take a dip, and then chill on our chair, go take a dip, chill on our chair, walk over to the swim up bar in the pool. It was like a dream. And then there's one other pool that is just kind of a few steps away. That is like more of a kind of plunge, kind of natural shaped pool. It doesn't have that exactly an infinity edge, but you're still overlooking the sea, has some seating in it. So I would go read my book over there. So yeah, the pool game was top notch. I would not bring kids here. Kids are allowed. It is not an adults only hotel, but it feels adults oriented.
It functions as an adults only pool. The infinity pool is very much like a party environment. And the secondary pool was much quieter. It's much smaller and no swim up bar. So that was definitely a place that you could like get away for a few minutes if you wanted to escape the music and the drinking scene and all of that. It was actually quite peaceful, and it's literally 50 steps away.
Yeah, there were a couple kids there because I think with these 50th birthday parties, it was like, oh, well, Uncle whoever is turning 50, we need to go. And they made do, like they had their goggles and a couple swim toys and would go over to the plunge pool. But you could tell the parents were a little like, don't splash the adults. Like I wouldn't bring kids there if possible, but they are welcome and allowed. So then we got cleaned up and we had our first dinner at the Rooftop at the Cape. So the Rooftop, it's called the Rooftop, and you can make a reservation on OpenTable or Resi. I had made a reservation for sunset because I wanted to be up there because I follow the hotel on Instagram. It's kind of a vibe. It's got a DJ and a ton of seating and fire pits and the whole thing. So we went up there. It's definitely a cool vibe. You can see it on my Instagram. We ordered some food and drinks and we liked it, but I wouldn't say we loved it, and we wouldn't say you have to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say you can go up to the rooftop. The rooftop itself, the restaurant is like maybe a third of the overall rooftop. There's other event space up there. Like, it's definitely worth going up to the rooftop and seeing it. Maybe even get a drink up there. It's a cool vibe, but the food wasn't, something to write home about, and was super expensive. So yeah. I think there's better options, even within the hotel. I was more impressed with the other restaurants we ate at versus the rooftop.
Yeah, the nice thing is that it's right there, so it's an option. We got like a flash fried kind of spicy shrimp type appetizer, 2 tacos, and then you had gotten a burger because you were still pretty hungry from our travel day. And we got 2 drinks, and it was one of our more expensive meals and just fine, honestly. So that's the Rooftop. And then the other funny thing about being in Cabo is that for us, it was 2 hours earlier. And we used to be pretty good at like hanging late no matter where we traveled. But by like 10 or even 9:30, we were so wiped because it was like 11:30 or midnight at home. And so most of the trip, we went to bed by like 10 p.m., which again, maybe we're just getting old. But
We are, yeah.
we were so the bed was so comfortable, and we just would go to bed at 10, and then we'd be up at like 5:30 or 6, which isn't unusual for Joe. He's an early riser always, but I'm not. I love sleep. But I'd gotten like a great sleep. I'd be up by like 5:30 or 6, and we'd be like,
Well, you would be out getting content.
yeah, I would be out getting content. So here, let me back up. So the first night we go to sleep at like 10 p.m. and we're just like, we're going to get a great sleep. Well, I wake up at midnight and I'm so out of it. And all I can smell is this horrible skunk. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And you know, when you wake up in the middle of the night and your brain is like making something worse than it is, the smell was so bad. And my mom is like really freaked out about Mexico. She always thinks like I'm going to die while I'm there. She thinks the cartel is going to get me. She really, really doesn't like when I go to Mexico. So my first sleepy thought at 12:30 in the morning was, oh my gosh, the cartel is gassing out hotels and we're all going to die like this. I was so scared. As we both got up and went to the bathroom, and we were kind of like, do you smell that? What's going on? We were so freaked out. And then I was like, there must have just been like a skunk that got on property. So I remember I Googled in the middle of the night, are there skunks in Cabo? And it was like, yes. So then we finally fell back asleep, wake up, it smells fine, clean, and amazing. And Joe's like, what did you finally say it was?
I was like, that's just somebody smoking weed in their room.
It's like, oh yeah, why do I still forget that that has the same smell? Of course, it was probably someone who got back at 12:30 from Cabo Wabo and was on their balcony below us or above us or next to us. Because then we did smell it again a couple of times. And I was like, oh my gosh, Kelsey, the cartel is not gassing you out and trying to kill you.
Nope.
I don't think they have any reason for that. So yeah, if you smell a skunk, it's probably just somebody partying on their balcony. So, okay. Then we woke up very early, and it was great because a great time to get content is super early because nobody's at the pools. So in the middle of the day, the pool is like body to body with all these people in their, you know, honestly, very cheeky swimsuits, which doesn't make for great Instagram content sometimes, or I don't know, maybe for some people it does. But at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., it is peaceful and quiet and perfect. So I walked around and got some hotel content. The one thing I will say is there aren't coffee makers in the room, which is kind of a bummer. We love like a little Nespresso machine at a nice hotel. So you do have to kind of go on a hunt for coffee. But the best place we found was
The Sunken Bar.
The Sunken Bar. It's near Manta, which is their very popular Michelin star restaurant. But it's just kind of their main bar. It's called the Sunken Bar because it's sunken down, which is kind of cool. And they have coffee baristas there in the morning. They're ready to give you a coffee in a to-go cup. The coffee was amazing.
Yeah.
They would make Americanos. I like to drink just like black coffee. And they would make Americanos, and they were like delicious. We loved the coffee. So after we enjoyed our coffee and just kind of relaxing at the quiet resort before everybody else was awake, Friday morning was our big hike with a local named Enrique and his dogs, which let me tell you, when Joe first found this and told me about this, I was a little like, come again? And then we told my mom, who is like, thinks we're going to die. And I'm like, we're going to go into like military land that's not, you're not allowed to go on ever unless you get private access. And she's like, what? So why don't you tell everybody about this hike, how you found out about it, and honestly, how cool it really is.
So I love getting out and doing something active on vacation. And typically that entails a hike. In St. Lucia, we did, a pretty strenuous hike.
Piton hike.
Yeah, Piton hike. In Asheville, North Carolina, last year we did some hiking. And it's just really fun to get, up to higher elevation and burn some energy on a trip. So I love doing that. And so naturally, like looking around Cabo, there is like the highest kind of peak near there that you can hike is Mount Solmar. And
you can see it from when you're like sitting at the Cape. You can see El Arco, and then really the tallest mountain that you can see is Mount Solmar. So you're looking at it the whole time.
And we say it's a mountain, Mount Solmar. It's like 440 feet in elevation. You start at sea level, so it's not too high, not too strenuous, but still not an easy hike. Well, the only way to access this, it is private property. I believe the government owns it, is what it seems like. And the only way to access the trail to get up there is through this property that dogs are trained and boarded at. And a guy named Enrique Mendez is the one who runs that facility. And so what he had started doing, and I don't even know when this started, is every morning at 8 a.m.
Mm-hmm. Every morning except Saturday, which Saturday is a big part of a lot of our trips. So you need to make sure you do it on like a Friday or a Sunday or a Thursday. Every morning at 8 a.m. except Saturday.
Every morning at 8 a.m. Anybody can show up free of charge. You just line up and he lets you in and he leads you on a hike to the peak of Mount Solmar. And he typically brings some of his dogs with him.
He's a dog trainer.
Yep. He's a dog trainer, former Mexican military canine handler. So he's basically spent his whole career training dogs. And now he rescues and trains all kinds of dogs. So we show up at 7:45, I believe.
We took an Uber, and that is something that you can do. It's safe. It's easy. Your Uber app works just the same. The cars weren't as nice as we're used to. Some of them, a lot of them are stick shift and maybe don't have like great working AC, but Uber is a great option if you don't want to like try to get transfers to all these places. So we Ubered to basically, you can just kind of look it up. I'll put it in the show notes. I'll put a link to his Facebook page and he's got the address there. You kind of just Uber to this area near the Marina.
Yeah, and it's right across from their like naval base there. So it is a little like when you get out, you like look up and there's soldiers there with automatic weapons, like looking over and
kind of keeping track of the marina. And
when I say like a training and boarding facility, it is not like what we have in the U.S.
Not what you run.
No, it is outdoors,
Cage.
air conditioned. Yeah, all like chain link fence.
People just start lining up, and it's a little like you could see other tourists walking by. Like, what is going on? Why are 50 people, 100 people in line at this chain link gate?
Yeah, and over the course of 15 to 20 minutes, I mean, just car after car showed up. People got out and just lined up. And I would bet we had 100 people on our hike.
And half of them seem to be local-ish, and half of them seem to be tourist. So there are local people, and we talked to many local people that have done this hike. So it's a very popular hike for locals and tourists together.
Yeah, and Enrique lets all his dogs out, feeds them, puts them back in, and then keeps out the ones that he's going to take on the hike. He opens the gates for everybody to come in. And then he gives a speech about the hike, about the history of the area and why it's so special being between the Pacific Ocean and the Sea of Cortez. And yeah, it was just, and then you take off. He's like, I
feel like we need to talk about this speech a little bit more. He is a character. He is hilarious. He is like, I actually had a feeling of, I get why, coaches or military, sergeants and stuff are the way they are, because he is like so
engaging.
Yes. And so like, listen up. And he's like, and you're like, yes, sir. Like I'm almost by the end, I was like, I will do whatever you say. Like, he's funny. He's charming. He's spiritual. He is, intense. He is a fabulous person to encounter if you get the chance to. So yeah, he's like, okay, let's go. And, he let out about like 6 dogs to hike with us, and they were all so different and funny and adorable. Like there was like a Australian Shepherd, there was like a Pomeranian on like with like all the poofy hair that looked like it had just come from like a dog show. There was a little kind of like black mutt. There was a very pretty German.
Yep, German Shepherd.
Yeah, and then am I missing one? Oh, I don't know what that other brown dog was. He was really sweet too with the love collar.
Yeah.
But so these dogs do this hike every morning, and it's hot and hard, and they just make their way up. But then they also know the little spots to like sit in the shade in these little teeny like caves, and you'll be huffing and puffing, and you're like, oh hey, you're taking a nice break there in the cave, and then they'll catch back up with you.
Yeah, I mean it was awesome. So we take off, up the mountain. He kind of tells everybody, make sure you have water. It's going to be hot. there is very little to no shade. So, in Cabo in July, you're exposed to the sun for a good 2 hours. But yeah, I mean, you take off and then about, I don't know, maybe 150, 200 feet up in elevation, which probably was a halfway or a little more than halfway. He stops everybody to give everybody a break, water. And then he breaks out in this speech that is amazing.
Like a consciousness speech.
Yeah. He goes into the energy of the location that we're at, why there's extra vibrations,
why it's special,
why it's a special spiritual place and always has been. And I'll never forget this. He starts talking about consciousness and being present, and he goes, "Wake up!
Yeah,
wake up!" Yells it at everybody, and that got everybody's attention. And his whole point, and he's doing all of this in English and Spanish, so it's really fun to watch him do the whole speech in Spanish and then come back and do it all in English with all the same mannerisms and everything. But it was he was basically saying, we feel so much stress and anxiety because technology has forced us to look down so much
all day. We're looking down,
computers, phones. We're so ingrained in our devices now. And he was you have to take time to look up and look at what's around you. And he's it's not just here; it's your regular life. And it was just an amazing, spiritual moment.
Yeah, and he led us in breathing exercises. It was awesome. And so then the first part of the hike, fine. The second part of the hike is hard. I'm going to say that. I did it just fine. You want both hands. I carried a water bottle. That was a mistake. We should have brought a backpack with us, even just a sling backpack to put your water bottles in, because you want your hands and feet, because you do get into that rock climbing mode. And sometimes you are kind of you need a foot and you're really reaching up, or on the way back down, you're kind of doing a little jump to get from one level to a next. So it is, I would say, medium to strenuous hike. Awesome, though. You get to the top. The views are insane. You're looking back over at the marina and the water, and just gorgeous. So I highly recommend it. We'll put more information in the show notes, but that was a lovely way to start our Friday.
Yeah. If you've ever done a hike where you have to do a little bouldering is what I would say is, it's similar. It reminded me of Camelback mountain in Scottsdale, in terms of both length and difficulty. But if you've done that, it's not really rock climbing, but it's also not a paved hike either.
Yeah, exactly.
For full details, including terms and conditions, visit unlock.com/legal. Call 1-888-780-6854 to speak with a representative today. Actor Portrayal. Terms and conditions apply. Not available in all states.
Hey, homeowners, can I get a minute of your time? If you need cash but don't want another loan, I've got the perfect solution. You can access up to $500,000 of your home's equity without monthly payments or interest ever with Unlock. This isn't a loan. It's a home equity agreement. With Unlock, you may qualify for cash today in exchange for a share of your home's future value. No debt, no extra bills, just financial flexibility on your terms. Use the money however you want. Home improvements, paying off debt, investing, or boosting your retirement savings. Unlike HELOCs, home equity loans, or cash out refis, there are no monthly payments. No stress. You've built this equity. Now it's time to use it. Go to unlock.com for more information.
Don't wait. Call 888-780-6854 to unlock the equity in your home and get up to $500,000 in cash with no monthly payments and no interest ever. Call 888-780-6854. 888-780-6854 or visit unlock.com. That's unlock.com for more information.
Okay, so we got back from the hike and we planned on getting brunch in the marina area because that's kind of where we already are. And the marina area is fun. There's nice restaurants. There's a lot of vendors. We'll get into that in a minute. But it's got a lot of great restaurants. I knew that I wanted to try Solomon's Landing or Captain Tony's. I looked up all these restaurants. So we mapped ourselves to Solomon's Landing. It was a lovely restaurant, great decor, right there in the heart of the marina. The servers were amazing. I thought, oh my gosh, we're going to have a wait. No, we walked right in. They brought a fan over to our table. And the best part is we literally were sitting there just looking at the mountain we just climbed. It was in the distance, perfectly framed in the window we were sitting by, open air restaurant. And this was our second breakfast burrito.
Breakfast burrito number 2. And in addition to seeing like the mountains and everything, you also, if you like boats, there are tons of yachts and super yachts, and Cabo is a great place to do some boat watching.
Yeah, as the regular listeners know, I love Below Deck. We're actually currently watching the new season right now. We were watching it last night. But so we have fun Googling the yachts. You can look up so much information about any yacht just with like the name and the location, and it will tell you who owns it and all the things. So we were looking at boats. We got Bloody Marys. They were delicious. Well, actually, they weren't delicious at Solomon's Landing. They were fine. But it's almost like we wanted like the salt, the electrolytes back in our body. I guess we could have got a Gatorade, but instead the Bloody Mary was lovely. And the best part about breakfast burritos in Cabo is the pico de gallo.
Yeah.
Every single time we were like, this is the most delicious and fresh pico de gallo. I don't even know. It's just tomatoes, onions. I don't even really know.
Cilantro?
Yeah, cilantro. Somehow it was so bright and fresh and juicy and delicious that we like couldn't get enough of it. It was like the breakfast burrito was a vehicle for the pico de gallo. But that was lovely and a great way we were tired. We're dusty and tired. We saw some other hikers in there, but it was a super fun way to start the day. Hike, brunch at Solomon's Landing, walked around the marina a little bit, and then we Ubered back to our hotel. So that afternoon, we just did more pool time. I will say the best part about these couples trips being alone is time passes so slowly because we're all so used to doing a million things, especially summertime for all of you parents who work from home. It's just the day is constant. Can you make me lunch? Can you drive me here? I want to go to the pool. The days are just so busy that on vacation, we're like, it's only 10:30. It's only 11:30. It's only 12:30. It was a dream. So we set up, they're so lovely. They set up your pool chairs for you. They, completely cover them with the towels that are almost like a fitted sheet. And we would bring books down there or a Kindle. We definitely would go to the room and refill our Yetis if we needed to. But then once we finished that, I will say we felt like a little awkward because they'd be like, the servers are so kind. And they're like, do you need anything? And we're like, nope. Or they were like full Yetis. But I'm kind of like, we're somewhere in the middle. I know there are some people that would not spend a dime on this expensive food and drink, and some people would spend all the money in the world on the expensive food and drink. We're like in the middle. We start with like our own stuff, and then we're like, okay, now we'll order something from one of the servers because we don't want to go back into the room and we feel a little guilty. But we read, we would take dips in the pool. We would go sit at the edge, just looking out over the sea and watch the surfers and just chit chat. I think you napped a couple times.
Yeah, it was great. Watched the surfers who brought their dogs, and their dogs just waited patiently watching them surf for an hour or two and just
off leash.
Yeah, just off leash on the beach, just like laying there. It was awesome.
There was a beautiful German Shepherd, and Joe's like, I'm going to go down there. And I was like, don't you dare go approach someone else's dog. He's like, I'm not going to approach it. I'm just going to take a video. And I was like, okay. So I'm watching from the infinity pool edge. There's this gorgeous German just sitting patiently watching its owner surf off leash. These dogs are like, Cabo's very dog friendly. Actually, This hotel is dog friendly and the beach is dog friendly. So that's a good thing to know. So Joe goes down there and he's like filming. He's sitting on the steps that go down to the beach filming. And he's just kind of smiling and watching. And all of a sudden, the dog kind of notices him. And the dog kind of senses that Joe's like a safe, happy dog person. And it kind of slowly turns around and starts wagging and walking towards Joe. And I'm just looking at Joe, shaking my head. And the next thing I know, Joe's like petting this dog and loving on it. And the dog's wagging. And he finally comes back up and he can tell I'm watching him. Like, I told you not to touch that person's dog. And he's like, he approached me. I didn't approach the dog. It approached me.
I may or may not have whistled at the dog to get its attention.
Okay. We also ordered a spicy tuna roll poolside. I'm going to say it's the best spicy tuna roll I've ever had in my life. Might have helped that I was at Cabo poolside just having the time of my life. But it was a delicious sushi roll. I think it was $30, worth it. And then it was time to go up and get dressed for dinner. So for this night, we had made reservations at another hotel called Esperanza. I've had many friends stay there. It is a lovely high-end resort. And I had read and been told by friends that their restaurant, Cocina del Mar, is fabulous. So again, I had made a reservation ahead of time. You want to be there around sunset because you have a view of the sea and the sunset. Or can you see the sunset there? Did we decide you can't exactly see the sunset, but it's still very pretty at sunset. So we got all dressed up and we took another Uber over to Esperanza. They have a very cool bar that is kind of the interior of this restaurant. So our table wasn't ready. We got a drink. Then our table was ready. You sit literally kind of cliffside overlooking these waves that are crashing onto these rocks. And it's a very lovely dinner experience. Highly recommend it. We had been told by a friend what to order. So Joe, why don't you try to explain what you tried to order off menu, and it kind of translated, but regardless, all the food was delicious.
Well, before I talk about that, the restaurant is incredible because it is built out into like this natural rock cliff that's kind of like a peninsula that juts out between the two beaches at Esperanza. So you almost feel like you're like out in the ocean when you're sitting on the edge. And we had a table right on the edge, and the waves are just crashing against the rocks. I mean, sea spray is literally like coming up over you.
But really feel an obnoxious way.
No, it's not like
beautiful.
getting into your food or your drinks. But you really feel like you are eating dinner on like in the ocean.
Yeah.
It's an awesome spot that I would highly recommend. So yeah, our friends Paul and Danae stayed at this resort.
You guys might know them. Paul was on the episode about Steamboat, and Danae was on the episode The Beaches Trip Fail. And it's funny because people have messaged me and been like, do they have public Instagrams? Can we get more travel content from them? And I'm like, they do not. But I will try to get them back on soon for another episode because I know you guys love them. But they're some of our best friends.
So they're some of our good friends that live here in Franklin as well. And we were with them a couple of weeks ago. I think for July 4th might have been when we were talking about this. And Paul was saying one of the best meals he's ever had in his life was sitting at Cocina del Mar on the ocean. And the server, he was like, what do you recommend? And he was like, I'm going to take care of you. And so they have a snapper, like a whole snapper on the menu that's more of an entree. But he was like, here's what I would recommend doing. Get the whole snapper. I'm going to bring you everything you need to make fish tacos like by yourself. And so that's what I was like, that sounds amazing. Like I 100% am going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm like salivating, thinking about it. So we get there, waiter comes. I'm like, hey, I had a friend who ordered this. This is what I want. And he was like, I think we can do that. Let me check with the chef or whatever. So he goes and checks and he's like, yeah, chef can do it. Like, we're not too busy tonight. And I was like, that doesn't seem like a huge request.
Yeah. Because the snapper's always on the menu. I've had other friends that have gotten it and taken pictures of it. So the snapper's there. We just needed the fish taco, like
tortillas and
fixings.
Yeah. So it seemed like it shouldn't have been that difficult. But anyway, when he comes back with the snapper and fish tacos. And I think what got lost in translation is like they don't sell fish tacos at this restaurant. They only sell them for like room service or maybe another casual restaurant in the hotel. And so he thought I was asking for fish tacos separately from the red snapper. Long story short is we explained it. He then brought out
fresh tortillas.
All the tortillas, and
we already had the fixings from the fish tacos.
So I ate 2 taco dinners that night and was completely stuffed, but also super happy. It was
but the
amazing.
food was incredible. The fish tacos were incredible. The snapper's incredible. It's seasoned very well. It's gorgeous. So highly recommend this restaurant. And if you try the fish taco route, just good luck.
Yeah.
So again, we got a great sleep and woke up early again on Saturday morning. Joe checked out the gym. He loves to check out a hotel gym. I had a very slow morning reading on the daybed outside. It was absolutely lovely. I finished a book on this trip. Joe, after the gym, got us coffees from the Sunken Bar and brought them back up to the room. Do you want to say anything about the gym?
It's small, nice. Nothing, special about it, but a good place to run and work out if you're interested in it.
Yeah. So today we knew we had some time to chill at the pool before our snorkel excursion, which was going to be at 2 p.m. So we really wanted to just get like a few more hours of pool time because I knew the next morning we were leaving pretty early and I just was so sad to say goodbye to this infinity pool and this view. So we went down to have breakfast at the Ledge, which is kind of their main breakfast and lunch restaurant. It was good. It was very crowded because they had 2 50th birthday parties going on. So there were just like a ton of guests. It took longer than I wanted just because we really wanted to get over to the pool. But this is where we had breakfast burrito number 3. And there wasn't a breakfast burrito on this menu, which bummed me out. But I was like, every other ingredient is on here. And there was a different breakfast burrito that had like steak and hollandaise sauce and some other stuff in it. So I just asked, can you make a traditional breakfast burrito, like eggs, bacon, cheese, potato with a side of pico de gallo? And he was like, sure. And Joe's like, I'll have one as well. So we had breakfast burrito number 3. Again, absolutely perfect in every way. Pico de gallo, amazing. I was like, I'm on a roll. We're going to have to do this every morning of the trip. So we had breakfast at Legends, delicious hot coffee again, then made our way over to the pool, got our 2 pool chairs, and it went by pretty quickly, but we read and took dips in the pool for about 2 hours.
Yeah, you were on a mission to get out of that restaurant because you knew the clock was ticking for pool time before we needed to get
it was like,
on
check,
the
please.
catamaran.
So chilled at the pool for a little bit and then packed up our bags for our catamaran snorkel excursion, which we booked on Viator through Cabo Adventures. Highly recommend Cabo Adventures. I'm sure there's tons of amazing tour companies. I just kind of sorted by highly rated. I think there was one that was even higher rated that was already completely sold out. So definitely book your excursions in advance. We did book this in advance. Cabo Adventures is a legit operation. They have a huge building down in the marina, almost feels like a SeaWorld type building. There is merch and stuffed animals and a dolphin tank with dolphins swimming by, which we were a little like, oh, that seems like a little small tank for dolphins, but there's a whole dolphin experience if you want to like see or swim with dolphins. Don't recommend doing that in a small tank, but whatever. But they have a whole big operation. You walk up, there's like 6 people working at computers, checking people in. Like if you go with Cabo Adventures, you're going to be taken care of. So we made our way there. We waited for our tour guide and we got on a big, beautiful white catamaran where they took our shoes and put them into big bins. And as we boarded, they handed us a mimosa and I felt like I was on below deck. I had a moment. I was like, this is fabulous. It's really fun to get out on the water in Cabo since the beaches are so rough. Going out into the middle of the ocean and being able to jump in is super fun. We had a guide named Pablo. He was so kind and sweet and was I feel like a lot of boat tour operators are so passionate about their ocean and teaching you about it. And so he taught us a lot, but also they are there for you to have a good time. There are 2 servers that are getting you whatever drink you want. They are making you food. They are taking you out this was like a 4-hour thing. So we were going to go snorkeling in one spot. I thought we were supposed to snorkel in 2 spots. It said 2 bay snorkel excursion, but I think the ocean was just a little rough. So the snorkeling wasn't the best. So we went out to the first spot, which was Chileno Bay or something. Joe and I were like ready to go. Like we were with 2 bachelorette parties, which they were adorable and hilarious, but they were kind of like moving slowly. I'm like, okay, someone put on their fins and their mask. I think I was the first one to jump in. I was like, excuse me.
And then people got in and then got out.
They were like,
it was a slow start to snorkeling.
Yeah. And then so we get in and the crew starts throwing in bread everywhere, which was hilarious because if you look down, there's just fish going bananas below the water. And Joe was like, that's the bread effect. Lots of fish, not the best snorkeling because it was so choppy. There was just a lot they kept saying, this is dirty snorkeling. This is dirty snorkeling, meaning a lot of the like sand and sediment is just getting mixed in. It almost looked like glittery, hard to see through.
Yeah.
We saw some coral reef. We saw some big, cool fish. We saw some neon blue fish. We saw enough for me to say it was worth going on it and I recommend it. I thought maybe we'd see a little bit more. They said recently in Cabo they've been seeing a lot of rays. And I just think it was too choppy that day. But that happens with snorkeling. It's not always perfect. It was good enough, fun to jump in the water. I mean, nothing like jumping in the ocean from a catamaran.
We did see some rays jumping on our way back.
Yeah, out of the water,
cool.
flopping up. It
Flying.
was crazy. Yeah. But then we went to our second spot, which they turned into just a swimming stop. But like I said, there were these 2 bachelorette parties. Most of them didn't want to get back in. But they served us. When we first got on, they gave us our mimosas and then they came around with these little fruit bento boxes with like kiwi, honeydew, pineapple, super sweet touch. And they cleared all those out. After snorkeling, they came around with lunch bento boxes that had deli sandwiches, pasta salad, chips, and guacamole. Am I forgetting anything? I think that was it. 2 different types of sandwiches. One was like a chicken and cheese and one was a standard deli sandwich. And again, they would just make whatever drink you wanted. So I think I got some white wines. You got some beers.
Yeah.
We got to know a lot of the people on the boat. It was really fun. And then Joe and I decided not many people were jumping in, but we were like, we're in the middle of the ocean. We had like 10 minutes to spare before we were going to move again. So we jumped back in the ocean. You could jump off the side, which was kind of fun, like a little bit of a high dive, not too high, but high enough for me to scream when I jumped off.
And the bay we anchored in there was like much more calm. It was kind of surrounded by two large like rock cliffs, so the water was calm and like crystal clear. I mean, it reminded me of like the Caribbean. Like
Yeah.
the water
You could see
quality
your
was
feet.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was really fun. Highly recommend Cabo Adventures. They have a sunset cruise as well. That would be fun if you, and maybe you can swim. I don't know. Maybe it's more of just like a dress cute and have champagne, but lovely to get out in the water. We had a great time.
We also started at El Arco,
Yeah.
which was really cool to see up close, but there were 20 other boats. So we were trying to get photos. That is the point where the Pacific Ocean and the Sea of Cortez come together. So it is very rocky.
Yeah.
Fun to watch, people who are pretty inebriated try to stand on the
For a
front of the
photo.
boat and get photos of all the boats around you are all doing the same thing. But yeah, it was cool to get out there and start with that and see that and get a couple of decent photographs. I wouldn't say great photographs.
Yeah, we tried to get photos and there's just a million boats behind all of us, but whatever. It was still fun to go see it up close. And even boating out to El Arco, there's so much gorgeous topography that you're going by. Like it's not, obviously, I haven't even been there. It's not the sea in Italy or France, but something about the topography and homes being built into the side, it kind of gives you that vibe a little bit. I don't know. We like love topography. It's like the weirdest thing to say. I don't know why I keep saying that, but there's something so beautiful about like these mountainous cliffs and the sea as opposed to just like a flat island. So we're topography snobs. Okay, and so then we had transfers for this. They were built into this excursion. So we got a ride to the marina and then we got a ride home from a lovely driver as well. Everybody, that is one thing we wanted to talk about. The people that work there and the people just of Cabo are so nice. Even the street vendors that, they're kind of heckling you and they want you to buy something. Then you go, maybe later. They go, okay, well, have a beautiful day. Have a blessed day. Like everybody was so lovely and kind. And I had read that on some Cabo Facebook pages. Like there's nothing like the people of Cabo. And I felt that the entire time.
Yeah, and I don't remember if it was Enrique or one of the drivers was explaining to us that like the people that are indigenous to that area were really completely secluded from the rest of Mexico. And so it's almost like they are very proud of their own culture there. And I would say, I mean, from the interactions we had, like everybody was super friendly.
Yeah. And love that you're
everybody
there.
I met with, talked to. Yeah, it was great.
Our driver at the very beginning of the trip was saying, so there's a lot of construction going on, widening roads, making things better. And he said, Cabo is expected to see more and more tourists, even than they have had in the next few years. Like people have realized it's amazing and are going there. And I said, does that make locals happy or sad? And he goes, well, if they're sad, they're stupid, because he was like, this is just more business and more economy and it's great. So the people who love Cabo and who are working hard in Cabo love the tourists and are so thankful that you're there. And like, we were like, we will be back. But anyhow, before we jumped on our transfer back to the hotel, we bought a couple of souvenirs, and we just have to tell the story in case you don't follow me on Instagram. We bought some stuff for our kids, bracelets, figures, whatever. And then we kept seeing these dip bowls. So it was almost like a long platter with 3 bowls in it. Like painted bowls, like you'd put salsa, queso, and guacamole, and like a dip trio. And they were so cute and hand painted. And I was like, I want to get one of those for us. And I want to get one for Joe's parents who were back in Nashville watching our children for us as like a thank you. And it was so cute and so pretty. So we spent our time picking out the 2 we liked, the one we thought that my mother-in-law would like, the one that we liked. We, negotiated with them. They started really high. We ended up getting, I think, like 2 for $40.
Yeah, 40 or 45 bucks.
2 for 40 or 45. And they're actually like, you think they're just these street vendors and they're like, we take credit card, and they like whip out their credit card machine. I'm like, oh, wow. So anyways, we got our 2 bowls. We were pretty happy with them. That night we got our transfer back and we were just kind of wiped from, the day. It was fun. We didn't feel like getting back out in an Uber to go eat somewhere, and we'd eaten at most of the restaurants. We did not eat at the high-end Michelin star Manta. We considered it. It's extremely expensive, coursed out dinner. We just like weren't feeling it this trip. So we were like, let's get room service. Like I love a room service moment. We needed to rinse off all that salt water, and then we didn't feel like getting all done up again to go back out. So we ordered shrimp quesadillas. What else did we order?
I feel like that was it.
No, we ordered shrimp quesadillas, fries, and something else. Oh, I'm going to forget now. Anyways, we ordered a handful of stuff off of room service. And because we had that big balcony, we had them bring it all the way out there, and we just chilled and had room service on the balcony. We were kind of sad that it was our last night, but it was an easy peasy, nice way to finish the trip. Sunday was our last day, and we woke up kind of sad. We just like took in the view as much as possible and tried to sear it into our brains because it was so peaceful and so beautiful. Most transfer companies want to give you 3 hours from your flight. That's like very standard there. So our flight was at 11:30. They were picking us up at 8:30. Felt early, but it really kind of probably was correct because it takes a minute to get all the way there and then through security and all that kind of stuff. So we took in the view, packed up the room, and then we had about 25, 30 minutes before our transfer was going to be there. So about 8 a.m., we walked down for our last breakfast burrito. Breakfast burrito number 4. They have them at that sunken bar. So you don't have to go all the way into the hotel restaurant. There's just kind of like that bar area. It has some tables and chairs, and a server will come up to you. So we sat there, and they brought us our coffee. We ordered our final 2 breakfast burritos in Pico de Gallo. They were lovely. We haven't had one since, so it's not like we're...
For the record, we shared the last breakfast burrito.
Oh, we did. I ordered. You didn't order one. I ordered.
I had a bite.
You had a bite. Joe's like, I'm good.
Out.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm like, I can have one more. It was lovely. Then Sunny Desert Transfer showed up again. Our same driver. We believe his name was Victor. So kind. We got to know him the first time, and it was fun to chit chat with him on the way back. We found out he's also a dog lover and talked to him about his family and his dogs and everything. And then we checked our bags, and then we went through security. And this was our only bummer hiccup of the trip. We see our bag. We used our reusable grocery bag as like now we have some extra stuff, some souvenirs as our souvenir bag. And the woman at security is like flagging us down, and we go over there, and she shows us the 2 dip bowls, and she goes, "You can't take these through." And we were like, "Why?" And she pulls out a laminated piece of paper that has guns, knives, drugs, and an exact photo of the 2. It almost felt like a surreal moment, like a photo of those exact dip bowls are on here. And I was like, why? And she said, too heavy, and like pointing at like a baseball bat, like it could be a blunt force object. And I was like, I literally almost cried. I was so bummed just because I was proud of them. I thought it was a great souvenir. And it's like one of those moments that catches you off guard in an airport, and you're like, what?
My first thought was, can we give her like $10 or $20 under the table?
But you didn't say that. You should have said it.
Well, my second thought was, I don't want to get arrested at the airport for bribery of equivalent of a TSA agent. So I thought, we'll let these go, and we'll look at the duty-free shop to find some other souvenirs.
Yeah, so I'm saying this on here to say, if you go to Cabo and you buy anything that's wooden, put it in your checked bag. She's like, you can go check it. I'm like, our bags are long gone now. They've been checked 20 minutes ago. So we had to part with them. I was really bummed. But then, we went into the duty-free shop. We got some different souvenirs, which worked just fine. But the crazy thing is there's like liquor bottles and ceramic platters. And I'm like, is this any different? Probably more dangerous if you shattered it on someone's head and then had the sharp objects. Anyways, I bet they stack those up and give them right back to those vendors, and us tourists are just like $40, $40, $40, and they never have to buy new goods. But maybe not. I'm sure they have a good reason for it. I was super bummed, but just know that about security. So flights home were fine. I will say on this podcast, I've talked a lot about how I was so excited to use my global entry. I got Joe and I both global entry. One of them was paid for, actually both of them probably on our Southwest business credit cards. Those cover global entry. So you pay $120 for it and it refunds you immediately, which is pretty awesome. Global entry includes TSA. So if you're close to your TSA running out, just get global entry, because then when you come back into the country, you literally just look at a camera and they let you in the country. Well, I was so pumped to use this. I was like talking about it forever, could not wait. Surprisingly, we flew through Kansas City on the way home, which I didn't even really know you could fly direct Cabo to Kansas City, but show up in Kansas City. We walk into where we're going to go into the country, and it is a gorgeous, huge, brand new room with 4 agents working and not one person in the building. I was like, well, I guess we can get in any line and it doesn't really matter. Now, we did have to wait for our luggage to recheck it, that whole thing. But even once we got our luggage, there was nobody in either line. I still went through the global entry line because I had to and I wanted. And so, yeah, it's great. You look at the camera, they let you in. Now, I'm hoping in the next year or so, I come back into the country and it is complete chaos and I actually get to use global entry and feel proud of it. But it was extremely anticlimactic in this moment. Okay, we are going to bring this home and wrap it up. One thing I just want to say real quick, I know we touched on this at the beginning, but just a PSA to all you parents out there, a 2 or 3 night trip feels like a week. We are so busy. Sometimes it feels like, well, I don't want to fly all day. Like we pretty much flew all day Sunday. We left our hotel at 8:30 a.m. and we got home at 9:30 p.m. It was a full travel day, but even being able to like sit next to your person on a plane, have meals with them is kind of fun because you don't get to do that all the time. So PSA for parents to book a 2 or 3 night trip because it goes a long way and it will feel like a week. I promise.
Just book it.
Just book it. Okay. Before I completely wrap this up, Joe, I always have about 100 ideas in my head. Constantly, I'm planning trips, researching places, thinking about where our next couples trip should be. Do you have any places in your head that you would want to go in the next few years as one of our summer couples trips? I'm catching you off guard.
You are catching me off guard. I think because it's summertime, I think it would be really fun to do like the Canadian Rockies and like the beautiful lakes up there, because I know there's some great hotels and I just think the weather would be fantastic. And yeah, that would be my thought. Maybe not next year, maybe 2 years. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just think it'd be really fun.
My short list, I have Nantucket because it's so expensive and it'd be fun to go without kids. And also like an Italy trip, which we want to bring our kids to Italy and show them all the major sites, but it would be fun to just go to the sea or to Lake Como and just plop down kind of like we did on this trip and just relax on more of an adult only trip. Okay, we're going to end this episode the way I end every episode. I'll let you go first and then I'll cover off on anything that I would like to add as well. So if anyone out there is considering this trip, what is it about the Cape Hotel and Cabo San Lucas that would make you say, just book it?
I would say if you want a super relaxing, gorgeous views, but also able to do like a little adventure, like book the Cape Hotel and get out there in Cabo San Lucas.
And I would say for a fairly easy adult-only getaway, just flying down to Mexico, Cabo is a dream. It is high-end feeling. It is nice. The Cape, the photos and videos don't do it justice. It is a showstopper. It is a perfect adult-only spot. This is somewhere where you can relax, but also get a little adventure. And yeah, y'all just book it. It's amazing. Okay. Thanks, Joe, for joining me on your first podcast episode.
Thanks for having me. Can't wait for the next one.
That wraps up another episode of Trip Tales. If you have a trip you'd like to share about on the podcast, email me at triptalespodcast@gmail.com and I'll add you to the schedule. Also, be sure to follow the show so that you don't miss any upcoming vacation destinations. And if you have an extra minute in your day, please leave a review for the podcast. It helps more than you could imagine. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next episode of Trip Tales.